Isn't it interesting how a single person's small actions from their own room can lead to a situation that makes headlines all around the world? That's exactly what happened with the famous 2010 flash crash that sent shockwaves to the stock market for about 36 minutes. The fascinating part of this crash is that it all started with a little-known UK Indian trader.
We're down over 16%.
Dow at the same time has fallen about 18%. The stock market is now down 21%.
This is the story of Navinder Sarao, famously known as the Hound of Hounslow, the guy who managed to outsmart Wall Street right from his parents' house. Let's get the full picture. In the finance world, legends can come from unexpected places. NAV, the enigmatic day trader, is one such legend known for his quick rise to fame and fortune, all while operating from his bedroom in his parents' house. On May 6, 2010, the world's largest financial markets went through 15 minutes of absolute chaos that sent shockwaves through the financial world. Suddenly and without warning, both the U.S. stock market and futures market plummeted, erasing $1 trillion from the value of American companies in just 5 minutes. This event, famously referred to as the flash crash, marked a moment of extreme anxiety and surrender in the financial landscape. It took authorities 5 years to identify the alleged mastermind behind this crash, a solitary British trader by the name of Navinder Sarao, who gained name as the Hound of Hounslow. U.S. regulatory agencies accused him of manipulating the market, alleging that he reaped approximately $40 million from his activities. Now, while the average person might be searching how long does it take to make $1 million in the stock market in hopes of achieving a financial milestone, this man managed to amass an amount beyond one's comprehension only from the comfort of his bedroom. Well, seriously, if you're aiming to accumulate $1 million, you'll need to exercise patience and allow your money to grow over time. The precise duration to reach your goal is contingent upon the returns you earn on your investments. For example, if you manage to secure an average annual rate of return of 10%, which aligns with the stock market's historical performance, it will take approximately 25 years to go from 100,000 to 1 million. Perhaps market manipulation seemed like the sole option available. Even with all the accusations, Sarao didn't seem like the typical mastermind you'd expect. He lived in a regular, working-class neighborhood not far from London's financial district. It was hard to believe that someone who was involved in such massive trading operations was just a single trader working from his suburban home. It struck many as absurd to believe that a trader operating from a suburban residence in England could have the power to disrupt the entire market. This led to inquiries about why, if he truly had made $40 million as claimed by U.S. prosecutors, he continued to reside on the same street. Sarao was an all-rounded complex figure, viewed both as a deceptive market manipulator and a brilliant individual from a less privileged background who dared to confront the established financial order. Prior to NAV's entry into the financial world, his family had escaped poverty in India, hoping for a better life in London, UK. Nevertheless, immigrating to a Western nation did not guarantee instant opportunities. Their journey began with challenges, but NAV was destined for a more promising future. Navinder Sarao was a regular guy, hailing from a working-class neighborhood situated under the Heathrow flight path. He was known for his sharp wit and occasional bouts of quick temper. Sarao had a knack for mathematics and speedy thinking, which motivated him to pursue a career in trading. But many people think NAV's foray into the trading world was merely accidental. While pursuing studies in computer science and mathematics in college, he became aware of a roommate who had discovered a method to earn extra money by trading technology stocks with a student loan. Intrigued by the potential for financial gain, NAV set out on a path of self-learning, eagerly absorbing knowledge about the intricacies of trading. Following his time at university, he responded to a job advertisement in the Evening Standard that was looking for futures traders capable of handling high-pressure situations. This opportunity led him to trading arcades, where traders were expected to make profits through their decision-making skills, and learning took place right on the trading floor. Sarao secured a position at Futex, an unassuming trading firm located above a supermarket, a world apart from the bustling city skyscrapers that typically define the finance industry. With a background in computer games, he easily brought a unique set of skills to the trading floor. His exceptional ability to maintain focus and dive into tasks for extended periods made him one of a kind. As time passed, he deliberately distanced himself from his colleagues, fashioning a solitary workplace bracing with ear defenders to shield himself from distractions. This self-imposed isolation served to amplify his concentration and trading skill, earning him a reputation as an enigmatic and almost godlike figure among his peers. His unconventional approach and uncanny ability to navigate the markets further added to the mystique surrounding Sarao. Navinder Sarao became an enigmatic figure among fellow traders because of the enormous profits he was raking in and the scale of his trading activities. His primary focus was on trading the E-mini, which closely followed the S&P 500, serving as a key indicator of the U.S. stock market's performance. Utilizing his sharp market analysis and seemingly supernatural knack for forecasting market fluctuations, he assessed the market's likely direction, gauging whether it would rise or fall by scrutinizing the flow of orders entering and exiting the market. Sarao departed from Futex in 2008, a period marked by the global financial crisis, Great Recession, during which very famous and prominent financial institutions, including Lehman Brothers, were facing collapse. At that juncture, he had already amassed approximately $2 million, and he recognized an opportunity amidst the market chaos. He executed a career-altering trade, placing a bet on government intervention to rescue the struggling banks, a move that ultimately proved impeccably timed. With government interventions causing prices to rise, Sarao's wealth swelled from $2 million to $15 million. Even with this newfound success, he made a deliberate choice not to splurge the money or disclose his wealth to friends and family to avoid appearing like a show-off. Sarao's frustration naturally came from the emergence of high-frequency traders, HFT, in the market. High-frequency trading involved the use of computer algorithms designed to replicate human decision-making, enabling them to trade at extraordinarily rapid speeds and capitalize on minor price disparities. Sarao's main concern wasn't so much about market fairness, but rather the impediment these HFT robots posed to his ability to make money. In 2009 and 2010, Sarao made a big and most important choice of his life to create his own trading robot right from his bedroom as a countermeasure against the HFT firms. His objective was to influence the market, and after overcoming some initial obstacles, his robot started performing remarkably well. He gained the ability to consistently impact the world's second-largest futures market, leading to great profits. In the week leading up to the flash crash, he raked in $400,000 one day and an amazing $800,000 the next, all while living in Hounslow, where his parents' house was valued at $300,000. The flash crash that occurred on May 6, 2010 was characterized by intense and unpredictable market swings. It left a sense that central banks and financial institutions had lost their grip on the situation, which only added to the turmoil in the financial markets. There's a unique index in the financial world known as the Fear Index, and it essentially keeps tabs on market volatility. On that particular morning, it had surged by a mighty 30%. This is where Navinder comes into the picture. He decided to utilize his computer algorithms to introduce a barrage of sell orders into an already tumultuous and highly volatile market. For Nav, it was akin to a big wave surfer assessing the ocean swells, and he found himself facing massive waves. It was like a dream come true, a rare opportunity that only comes around once in a blue moon. At precisely 9:30 in the morning, he switched on his computer and initiated this flood of sell orders, all driven by his algorithm. As the afternoon came, he reached a point where he was placing orders worth a huge $200 million, and he was experiencing big successes as the market responded to his moves. It was becoming a main winning moment in his trading journey. But at precisely 1:40 p.m., for reasons that aren't entirely clear, perhaps a call from his mother for dinner as it was 7 o'clock in London, Nav made the decision to shut down his computer. He must have felt it was a fantastic day's work, having earned a huge $950,000. With his actions done for the day, he was unaware of what was about to unfold. Just 1 minute after Nav's computer went offline, the market commenced a downward spiral at an unprecedented rate and intensity. Traders on the floor couldn't believe their eyes. They were witnessing what they would later describe as the most bewildering day in their careers. Nav, at this point, was merely a spectator as the market plummeted dramatically, giving rise to the infamous event known as the flash crash. This crash managed to wipe out many $1 trillion from the value of American companies in a mere 5 minutes. It was a moment of financial history marked by extreme turmoil and astonishment. This unprecedented drop, the largest sudden fall ever recorded, was followed by a swift rebound in the markets. In response to this surprising event, officials were scheduled to convene meetings with executives from the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ during the week. They aimed to investigate whether the variance in rules among different exchanges contributed to the rapid and chaotic descent in the market on that fateful Thursday. In the coming months, an extensive and thorough examination would be carried out to reveal the intricate details of what transpired on that particular day. This inquiry would surround identifying the traders involved and delving deep into the heart of this perplexing mystery, which was very much hidden in uncertainty at that point in time. The goal was to get to the bottom of what had occurred during a period marked by out-of-ordinary market turbulence. A few months later, U.S. regulators released an extensive report delving into the events of that day. Surprisingly, this 100-page report made no mention of manipulation and certainly didn't allude to a trader operating from his bedroom in Hounslow. As for Navinder, he remained completely oblivious to these U.S. investigations, and his trading success continued to grow. However, as time passed, the exchanges and regulators began to take note of Navinder's high cancellation rates for orders. There came a point where he received a letter from the exchange, essentially requesting an explanation for his trading activities. In a rather defiant and memorable response, he tells them to kiss my ass. In the end, it wouldn't be the regulators who would apprehend NAV. Instead, it would be someone much like him, another day trader. This individual wasn't trading from his bedroom, but was working at a small firm in Chicago. He was in the process of backtesting his own software and, quite coincidentally, observed a peculiar pattern. On the day of the flash crash, he noticed a series of unusual order blocks entering and exiting the market, catching his attention, and he blows the whistle. This whistleblower stepped forward and reported the unusual trading activity, which eventually made its way to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. It's worth saying that the CFTC had primarily functioned as a regulator for agricultural markets for many years. Analyzing the intricate details of financial markets at a granular level was a highly complex task. At that time, only a handful of individuals at the CFTC possessed the expertise required for such an investigation. One of them was Jessica Harris, who was among the select few with the knowledge and skills necessary to get into this intricate financial puzzle. The data analysis of NAV's trading activities revealed a pattern where he would group orders together and modify them multiple times, sometimes even in the hundreds of thousands, before eventually canceling them without executing any trades. U.S. prosecutors alleged that Navinder Sarao was involved in illegal trading practices, specifically a strategy known as spoofing and layering. In these practices, traders intentionally inundate the market with orders for a particular security, with the intention of subsequently canceling those orders. This tactic artificially influences the price of the security, either driving it up or down, and is considered unlawful in financial markets. After about a year, the CFTC begins to feel confident that they've pinpointed examples of genuine manipulation, particularly manipulation on a massive scale. To take things to the next level, they made the decision to involve the Department of Justice. This is a big move now, because the Department of Justice possesses the authority to press criminal charges, issue subpoenas, and potentially lead to individuals facing imprisonment for their actions. In February of 2015, a judge signs an arrest warrant for NAV. At that point, NAV's fate is essentially sealed, although he remains unaware of it. On the morning of the arrest, a team assembles, including a half a dozen police officers, 2 U.S. Justice Department prosecutors, and 2 FBI agents. They meet at a McDonald's restaurant that NAV is very familiar with, located about a mile from his home. They gather there to plan the arrest of the man they perceive as a criminal mastermind. As the sun begins to rise, they quietly navigate through the streets of Hounslow and reach Navinder's residence. Upstairs in his bed, Navinder remains asleep, oblivious to the impending arrest. The moment they knock on the door, Nav's father answers and calls for him upstairs and down the stairs. Nav descends, wearing tracksuit bottoms and a t-shirt, his hair disheveled, and he appears completely confused. As he's led out of the house in handcuffs, he turns to one of the officers and asks, "Can I run upstairs for a minute, bruv? There's a football match on telly that I want to record." The officer responds, "I don't think you're going to get a chance to watch that for a while, son." Indeed, as it turned out, he wouldn't set foot in the house for another 4 months. This turn of events was quite challenging for the people in this neighborhood to comprehend. It's a genuine working-class community, and Nav's arrest was a great and unexpected development. Many people in the financial markets, especially those like NAV who operated on the fringes as day traders, held him in high regard. He was seen as a role model who had built a big wealth from humble beginnings and had devised a means to challenge a system where the most financially backed and well-connected firms typically reigned supreme. For people in similar circumstances, it often felt nearly impossible to achieve profitability within this competitive landscape. So, NAV became somewhat of an idol. The British trader accused of playing a role in the May 2010 flash crash found himself behind bars overnight. The legal system brought a heavy barrage of charges against him, totaling 22 criminal counts that could potentially result in a cumulative sentence of 380 years in prison. In response, the judge assessed his considerable earnings and set bail at £5 million. For NAV, whose wealth amounted to tens of millions of pounds, meeting this bail requirement should be a relatively straightforward matter. It's not entirely clear how much money he made, but considering his reputation as a skilled trader, it's reasonable to assume that he might have a significant sum at his disposal. However, the mystery arises from the fact that, despite being granted conditional bail, he's been unable to post the required $7.5 million. As a result, he remains in custody. As NAV's legal team reaches out to his various investment advisors who have managed his funds over the years, they encounter a troubling development. These advisors begin to avoid their calls. Over time, it becomes increasingly evident that the money NAV had set aside and the profits he had accumulated throughout his successful trading career may not be as secure as he had believed. The realization dawns that this financial situation is far more precarious than he initially thought. It does appear that NAV may have fallen victim to a scam that has potentially cost him $50 million. It's a story that seems almost too astonishing to be true. It appears that NAV entrusted his money with various entities that promised attractive returns, some even claiming to offer risk-free investments. He seemed quite willing to place his funds with these entities, and this has led to the troubling situation he finds himself in. As we talked about it earlier, NAV is a complex figure. A brilliant trader on one hand, and a somewhat naive individual with no prior experience working at a bank or in a commercial environment. Unfortunately, he appears to have been deceived by certain individuals. The majority of his funds were entrusted to an entrepreneur named Jesus, who ultimately admitted to losing it all and pledged to repay NAV when possible. In a turn of events, the judge decided to reduce his bail, and his parents had to put their house up as collateral to secure his release. The British trader accused of being involved in the May 2010 flash crash was set free on a $7.5 million bail. The judge determined that he should be extradited to the United States to face trial. Following his release, NAV's attorney, who had formerly worked at the Department of Justice as a prosecutor, traveled to Washington and attempted to negotiate a deal. He proposed that while they could proceed to trial, there was a risk of losing, given Navinder's vulnerability. There was a concern that a jury might sympathize with him, so the suggestion was to strike a deal. In the end, NAV's transformation from someone who initially appeared to be part of a bank or a high-frequency trading operation based on his trading activity and earnings to an individual trading alone from his home was a big evolution in his story. He maintained a frugal lifestyle, which added to the intrigue of his case. NAV's motive for his actions was challenging to discern. The Department of Justice weighed the situation and ultimately reached an agreement with him, leading to his guilty plea. When it came time for NAV's sentencing, the U.S. authorities had a significantly altered perception of him. On one hand, he had been extraordinarily cooperative, shedding light on the practices of market abuse and assisting in building several cases. He proved to be an invaluable witness. However, NAV was far from the stereotypical image of a greedy financial criminal. He had been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome by this point, which provided a context for many of his actions and interactions with the authorities. The U.S. authorities, by this stage, had a very different view of him. They penned a note to the judge, essentially stating that he had endured enough punishment, had been exceptionally helpful to them, and recommended his release with credit for time served. So they took into account his autism, time in jail already served, and that he's been helpful to the government for several years since then. It's quite a remarkable turn of events when the U.S. government states that Navinder Sarao has suffered enough and recommends his release. Considering the full scope of his circumstances, including the loss of his wealth, it's clear that the government made a judicious decision. In the end, the judge sentenced NAV to a year of house arrest, creating a fascinating circularity to his story. as it was from his home that he first ran into trouble. NAV's timing once again proved to be impeccable. Just a couple of months after his sentencing, the world was plunged into a global pandemic, and most of us found ourselves under various forms of lockdown. The financial aspect of NAV's journey was followed closely. His rise from a lone trader in his bedroom to the center of a major financial controversy and eventual redemption was something extraordinary. The impact of his actions on the markets and the subsequent legal proceedings made his story a gripping saga. This leads us to one last question. How common are these types of crimes? Potentially fairly common. Most countries, including the UK, do not specifically list spoofing as a crime. It's only been illegal in the United States since 2010, with the first successful case brought against U.S. trader Michael Kosicka in 2013. The practice of spoofing in financial markets, though not explicitly illegal in all jurisdictions, raises significant ethical and legal concerns. Financial markets rely on a delicate balance of trust and transparency. However, in recent years, a practice known as spoofing has come under scrutiny for its potential to undermine the integrity of these markets. Spoofing involves creating a false appearance of market activity through deceptive trading strategies, primarily in electronic trading platforms. Potentially, spoofing is a fairly common practice in financial markets, yet its prevalence varies across different jurisdictions. Most notably, the United States took a significant step towards addressing spoofing in 2010, when it was officially deemed illegal under the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. This legislation gave the Commodity Futures Trading Commission the authority to prosecute those engaged in spoofing, marking a critical milestone in the fight against market manipulation. Many countries, including the United Kingdom, do not explicitly list spoofing as a criminal offense, and this divergence in regulatory approaches has implications for the occurrence of spoofing worldwide. However, the case also raises crucial questions about the thin line between legal and illegal market manipulation. After all, traders are tasked with capitalizing on market inefficiencies, and this is how they make their living. Legitimate trading strategies may involve taking advantage of price discrepancies and arbitrage opportunities, making it challenging to differentiate between legitimate market activities and deceptive spoofing. Furthermore, algorithmic trading is an integral part of modern financial markets, and it's not inherently illegal. Algorithmic trading involves the use of computer programs to execute a high volume of trades at speeds that surpass human capabilities. It's become increasingly prevalent due to its efficiency and the ability to execute complex strategies within milliseconds. Algorithmic trading can offer liquidity to the markets and improve price discovery, but it can also be used for spoofing and other manipulative practices, blurring the ethical boundaries of trading. Spoofing raises ethical questions that go beyond legal definitions. Market participants are expected to operate with integrity and transparency to maintain trust in financial systems. The deceptive nature of spoofing undermines this trust by creating false market signals, potentially leading to price distortions, economic losses, and an erosion of market confidence. The ethical dilemma lies in the exploitation of market mechanisms, where traders capitalize on their own false orders to profit at the expense of other market participants. This practice undermines the principle of fair and open competition in financial markets, which is essential for their proper functioning. To address the ethical and legal complexities of spoofing, regulatory authorities have taken steps to define and prosecute such practices. The U.S. regulatory framework, as established by the CFTC, provides a clear example of efforts to combat spoofing. Similarly, financial institutions, under regulatory scrutiny, have been fined for their involvement in spoofing activities. For example, UBS, Deutsche Bank, and HSBC paid a collective $46.6 million to U.S. regulators to settle spoofing claims. These fines serve as a deterrent and reinforce the message that spoofing is unacceptable behavior in the financial industry. Detecting and prosecuting spoofing can be challenging due to the rapid pace of modern markets and the complexity of electronic trading. Traders using sophisticated algorithms can hide their true intentions and intentions behind legitimate trading activities. Regulatory agencies often rely on advanced surveillance technologies to monitor and identify potential spoofing. However, the effectiveness of these surveillance systems can be limited, and there's a consistent cat-and-mouse game between regulators and market manipulators. To mitigate spoofing, market participants, including traders and institutions, are trying to be educated on the risks and consequences of engaging in manipulative practices. Over the course of his trading career, Navinder Sarao managed to accumulate around $70 million. It might be tempting to imagine a hidden twist where Nav squirreled away a few million for a future escape to a desert island, but upon close examination, this doesn't seem to be the case. The truth is that Nav is essentially penniless. Strangely enough, it hasn't made a great difference in his life. He still goes about his daily routine, cycling around Hounslow on his bicycle, playing football with his friends, and enjoying a fillet of fish from McDonald's. It's a proof to the fact that for Nav, money never held much meaning, and its absence hasn't drastically altered the way he lives. Through the various ups and downs of his life, Navinder Sarao's story shows the complexity of the financial world and the fine line between brilliance and controversy. It's a narrative that keeps you wondering about the ever-evolving landscape of modern finance and the intriguing characters who rule it.